Have you ever wondered why some women feel a deep, almost unexplainable attraction toward an older man? Not just admiration, not just curiosity, but a quiet, powerful desire that seems to grow beneath the surface, often without words. It's something many people notice, but very few truly understand, and the truth is, it's not random. It's psychological, emotional, and deeply human. I'm Mary Smith, and welcome to the Mindful Senior Living YouTube channel. Today, we're going to explore something that is often misunderstood, sometimes judged, but rarely explained with honesty and depth. Why a woman may genuinely desire an older man, and what that desire really means beneath the surface. And I want you to think about this for a moment. Maybe you've experienced this yourself, or maybe you've seen it happen in real life. A younger woman choosing to be around an older man, listening to him more closely, laughing a little longer at his words, feeling safe in a way she can't quite explain. Or perhaps you are that man, and you've noticed a shift in the way certain women look at you, speak to you, or respond to your presence. There's a subtle energy there, something unspoken, yet deeply felt. If that resonates with you even a little, stay with me, because what we're about to uncover might change the way you see these interactions forever. You see, attraction is rarely just about age. It's about emotional experience, psychological safety, and the kind of presence that makes someone feel seen without pressure. One of the most powerful reasons a woman may desire an older man is because of the emotional stability he often represents. Not perfection, but groundedness. A sense that he is not easily shaken, not constantly seeking validation, not playing games. In a world where many interactions feel rushed, uncertain, or performative, that kind of calm presence becomes incredibly attractive. There was a woman I once spoke to in her early 40s who had spent years in relationships where she felt like she was always managing chaos. Her partners were unpredictable, emotionally inconsistent, and often unavailable in the ways that mattered most. And then she met someone nearly 15 years older than her. He didn't try to impress her with big gestures. He didn't rush intimacy. Instead, he listened. He remembered small details. He created space for her to be herself without judgment. And what surprised her the most was not how exciting he was, but how peaceful she felt around him. That peace, over time, turned into something much deeper. Psychologically, this makes sense. Research in attachment theory shows that individuals are naturally drawn toward partners who provide a sense of emotional security. An older man, having lived through more experiences, often carries a different energy. He has faced loss, navigated challenges, and developed a more measured response to life. This doesn't make him better, it makes him different. And for many women, that difference feels grounding. But there's another layer to this that people don't often talk about. Desire is also influenced by perception. An older man who carries himself with quiet confidence, who doesn't feel the need to prove his worth, who speaks with clarity rather than noise, he becomes intriguing, not because he is trying to attract attention, but because he isn't. And that creates curiosity. A woman may find herself wondering, what is it about him? And that question alone can begin the process of attraction. Now, this doesn't mean every older man automatically becomes desirable. It's not about age alone, it's about presence. There are younger men who carry the same grounded energy and older men who don't. But when maturity, self-awareness, and emotional steadiness come together, they create a kind of quiet magnetism that many women find deeply appealing. Let me share something practical with you. If you're an older man listening to this, the most important thing you can do is not to try to act younger or compete with younger men. That often has the opposite effect. Instead, lean into your natural strengths. Speak with intention. Listen without interrupting. Allow silence to exist in a conversation without rushing to fill it. These small shifts communicate confidence far more than any words ever could. And if you're someone trying to understand your own attraction toward an older man, ask yourself this: how do I feel when I'm around him? Not what he looks like, not what others might think, but how your body and mind respond. Do you feel calm, seen, understood, safe to express yourself without fear of judgment? Those feelings are often the foundation of genuine desire. There's also a biological and evolutionary aspect to consider. Studies have shown that women often associate maturity with reliability and resourcefulness, traits that historically contributed to long-term partnership success. While modern relationships are far more complex than survival-based dynamics, these subconscious patterns still influence attraction in subtle ways. But here's where it becomes even more interesting. Emotional intelligence plays a major role. An older man who has taken the time to understand himself, his patterns, his triggers, his communication style, brings a level of awareness into a relationship that can feel incredibly refreshing. He's less likely to react impulsively, more likely to respond thoughtfully, and that creates emotional safety, which is one of the strongest drivers of attraction for many women. I want you to reflect on something. Think about the difference between someone who tries to impress you and someone who makes you feel comfortable being yourself. One creates pressure, the other creates connection, and over time, connection almost always wins. Now, of course, this dynamic isn't without its challenges. Age gaps can bring differences in life stage, expectations, and social perception. A woman may struggle with how others view her choice or question her own feelings because of societal judgment. And that's why self-awareness becomes so important. Understanding why you feel drawn to someone allows you to make choices that are aligned with your values, rather than influenced by external opinions. Let me give you a simple exercise you can try. The next time you feel drawn to someone, instead of focusing on the outcome, focus on the interaction. Notice how they make you feel during the conversation. Notice your body language, your level of comfort, your emotional state. This awareness can reveal more about attraction than overthinking ever will. And if this conversation is resonating with you, I invite you to pause for just a moment and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever experienced this kind of connection, or are you beginning to understand it in a new way? Your perspective might help someone else feel less alone in their experience. Another important aspect is communication. Older men who have developed strong communication skills tend to create deeper connections. They ask meaningful questions, they listen actively, they don't rush to fix or dismiss emotions. And for many women, this level of engagement feels rare and valuable. At the same time, desire is not just about emotional safety, it's also about respect. A woman is more likely to feel attracted to a man who respects her autonomy, her opinions, and her individuality. An older man who treats her as an equal, rather than someone to control or impress, builds trust. And trust, over time, transforms into desire. There's a quiet truth here that many people overlook. Attraction often grows in the absence of pressure. When a woman doesn't feel rushed, judged, or expected to perform in a certain way, she relaxes. And in that relaxed state, genuine feelings have space to develop. I remember another story, a woman in her late 30s who described her experience with an older partner. She said, "For the first time, I didn't feel like I had to earn someone's attention. He was just present." That presence, she explained, made her feel valued in a way she had never experienced before, and that feeling stayed with her long after the initial attraction. So if you take anything from this, let it be this. Desire is rarely about chasing, it's about how someone experiences you. The energy you bring into an interaction matters more than any external factor. And as we continue this conversation, I want you to stay curious, not just about others, but about yourself. What draws you in? What makes you feel connected? What creates a sense of trust and comfort? If you found this perspective helpful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps this message reach more people who might need clarity, understanding, or simply reassurance that what they feel is valid. Because at the end of the day, attraction is not something to judge, it's something to understand. And when we understand it, we begin to make choices that are not just reactive, but intentional. There's something subtle that begins to shift once a woman recognizes that her attraction toward an older man isn't just a passing curiosity, but something deeper, something that keeps pulling her back in quiet moments. It's not always loud or dramatic. In fact, it's often the opposite. It grows in stillness, in the spaces between conversations, in the way she replays a simple interaction in her mind long after it's over. And this is where things become even more interesting, because desire at this stage is no longer just about what she sees. It's about what she feels when he's not around. She starts to notice that his presence lingers. Not in an overwhelming way, but in a grounding one. She might find herself comparing other interactions to the calm, steady way he made her feel, and without even realizing it, her emotional standards begin to shift. You see, the human mind is wired to seek consistency and safety, especially after experiencing unpredictability. When a woman encounters an older man who responds instead of reacts, who listens instead of interrupts, who understands instead of dismisses, her nervous system begins to relax. And that relaxation is powerful. It creates space for trust to grow, and trust, when nurtured properly, becomes the foundation of genuine desire. I want you to imagine a scenario for a moment. A woman has spent years in relationships where communication felt like conflict, where expressing emotions led to arguments, where vulnerability was met with distance. Then she meets someone who doesn't meet her emotions with resistance, but with curiosity. Instead of saying, "You're overthinking," he asks, "What made you feel that way?" That one shift changes everything, because now she feels heard. And when a woman feels truly heard, she begins to open up in ways she didn't think were possible. And here's something many people overlook. Emotional safety doesn't just create comfort, it creates attraction. Because when someone feels safe, they become more authentic. They laugh more freely. They express themselves more openly. They stop filtering every thought. And in that authenticity, connection deepens naturally. But let's go a little deeper into the psychology of it. There's a concept known as emotional regulation. It refers to a person's ability to manage their emotional responses in a healthy and balanced way. Older men, simply through life experience, often develop stronger emotional regulation. They've faced situations that required patience, resilience, and perspective. And as a result, they're less likely to escalate small issues into big conflicts. For a woman, especially one who values emotional depth, this quality can feel incredibly reassuring. It signals stability. It tells her, without words, "You don't have to walk on eggshells here." And that message alone can be enough to spark a deeper emotional bond. Now, this doesn't mean that every interaction is perfect or that challenges don't exist. In fact, sometimes the differences in age can bring unique dynamics into the relationship. There may be differences in energy levels, life goals, or even communication styles shaped by different generations. But what often bridges that gap is mutual respect and emotional maturity. Let me share a real lifestyle example that reflects this dynamic. A woman in her mid-30s once described how she initially resisted her attraction toward an older colleague. She told herself it didn't make sense, that it would be complicated, that people might judge her. But what she couldn't ignore was how different she felt around him. She didn't feel the need to impress him. She didn't feel anxious about saying the wrong thing. She felt steady. Over time, she realized that what she was drawn to wasn't his age, it was his presence. The way he carried himself, the way he responded thoughtfully instead of impulsively, the way he made space for her opinions without trying to dominate the conversation. And eventually, she had to confront a simple truth. Sometimes what feels right doesn't always fit into societal expectations. And that brings us to an important point. Social perception can play a significant role in how a woman processes her attraction. She may question herself, wonder what others will think, or even try to suppress her feelings to avoid judgment. But suppression doesn't eliminate attraction. It only pushes it deeper, where it often grows stronger over time. This is why self-awareness becomes so important. Instead of asking, "Is this acceptable?" a more powerful question is, "What is this connection teaching me about what I truly value?" Because often, attraction reveals unmet emotional needs. It highlights qualities that a person has been longing for, sometimes without even realizing it. If you're watching this and reflecting on your own experiences, I want you to take a moment and be honest with yourself. Not about what others expect, but about what you feel when you're in the presence of someone who brings you a sense of calm, clarity, and understanding. Those feelings are not accidental, they are signals. And learning to interpret those signals can lead to more meaningful connections. For older men listening, there's something important to understand here as well. The attraction a woman feels toward you is not something to exploit. It's something to honor. It's built on trust, on emotional safety, on the way you show up consistently over time. And the moment that consistency is broken, the foundation can begin to shift. So the question becomes, how do you maintain that sense of grounded presence? It starts with awareness, being mindful of how you communicate, how you respond under pressure, how you handle moments of disagreement. These are the moments that define emotional maturity, not just the calm, easy ones. Here's a simple but powerful exercise. The next time you're in a conversation, focus entirely on understanding rather than responding. Listen not just to the words, but to the emotion behind them. Notice how the other person reacts when they feel genuinely heard. This practice alone can transform the way you connect with others. And if you're finding value in this conversation, this is a great moment to like the video and share it with someone who might benefit from a deeper understanding of relationships and emotional connection. You never know who might need to hear this perspective today. There's also an element of curiosity that plays a role in this dynamic. An older man often carries stories, experiences, and perspectives that are different from what a woman may be used to. This difference can be intellectually stimulating. It creates conversations that go beyond the surface, that explore ideas, values, and life lessons. And for many women, intellectual connection is a key component of attraction. It's not just about how someone looks or behaves, it's about how they think, how they see the world, how they process experiences. And when those conversations feel enriching, they create a bond that goes beyond physical attraction. But let's not ignore another important layer here. Desire also involves emotional pacing. Older men who are comfortable with themselves tend to move at a slower, more intentional pace. They don't rush to define the relationship, they don't pressure for immediate outcomes. And this slower pace allows feelings to develop naturally. In contrast, when interactions feel rushed or forced, it can create anxiety. A woman may feel like she has to make decisions before she's ready, which can disrupt the natural flow of connection. But when there's space, when there's patience, when there's no pressure to perform or decide immediately, something beautiful happens. Feelings deepen organically. I want you to reflect on a question here. Have you ever felt more connected to someone simply because they gave you the time and space to be yourself? That feeling is not a coincidence. It's a result of emotional pacing and respect. Now, as we move deeper into this conversation, there's something else we need to explore: the difference between genuine desire and projection. Sometimes, a woman may be drawn to an older man because he represents qualities she associates with safety or stability, even if she doesn't fully know him yet. This is where awareness becomes essential. It's important to distinguish between who someone truly is and what they symbolize, because real connection is built on reality, not projection. Taking the time to truly know someone, to observe their actions over time, to understand their values, this is what transforms initial attraction into something lasting. And if you're still with me right now, I want you to take a moment to engage. Share your thoughts, your experiences, or even your questions in the comments. Conversations like this become more meaningful when they include different perspectives. Because at the heart of all of this, what we're really talking about is connection. The kind that feels steady, respectful, and emotionally fulfilling. The kind that doesn't rely on constant excitement, but on consistent presence. And as we continue to explore this topic, keep this in mind. Desire is not just about who someone is. It's about how they make you feel over time. And that feeling, when it's genuine, has the power to reshape what you look for in every future connection. As we move deeper into understanding this attraction, it's essential to recognize that desire between a woman and an older man often involves a balance between admiration and emotional intimacy. She admires not just the experience he brings, but the way he navigates life, his calm in chaos, his patience in uncertainty, his ability to listen without judgment. And when admiration intersects with emotional closeness, desire deepens naturally. This isn't about superficial charm, it's about authentic presence. Let me share a story that illustrates this beautifully. A woman in her late 30s described meeting an older man at a social gathering. At first, she noticed his confidence, the way he carried himself, and the subtle humor he used to make people comfortable. But what truly captivated her wasn't his demeanor, it was the conversation that followed. He asked questions that invited reflection, remembered details she shared days before, and treated her opinions as valuable. Over time, she realized that her attraction wasn't rooted in novelty or excitement. It was rooted in the consistent, genuine way he engaged with her. This consistency is key. Desire often grows in spaces where behavior is predictable in a healthy way. It's not boring predictability, it's the assurance that she can rely on him to respond thoughtfully, that he honors boundaries, and that he is emotionally present. That kind of reliability is rare, and its rarity makes it magnetic. But there's more than just emotional safety at play. Older men often exhibit what psychologists call self-differentiation, the ability to maintain a strong sense of self while remaining emotionally connected to another person. This balance allows a woman to feel close without losing her individuality. She can be herself, express her needs, and pursue her goals, all while feeling deeply connected. And when both parties experience this dynamic, desire becomes both sustainable and fulfilling. Practical exercises can help both men and women cultivate these dynamics. For women, journaling about the qualities that genuinely draw you to someone can clarify what is authentic attraction versus projection. For men, practicing active listening and reflective responses helps create the emotional environment that fosters desire. Over time, these small, intentional behaviors compound, strengthening the connection and deepening attraction. Another element to consider is the role of vulnerability. Older men who are comfortable showing vulnerability without oversharing or seeking validation invite deeper intimacy. Sharing a challenge faced, a fear acknowledged, or a lesson learned humanizes him, making the connection more relatable. Women often respond positively to this balance of strength and vulnerability, as it signals emotional maturity and authenticity. Curiosity also plays a significant role. Women are naturally drawn to experiences that expand their understanding of the world. Older men carry stories, insights, and perspectives that can be stimulating intellectually and emotionally. This doesn't mean a relationship is one-sided. It's about exchange. The woman brings her energy, curiosity, and perspective, creating a dynamic where both individuals learn and grow together. Attraction is further reinforced by the alignment of values. When a woman senses that an older man shares her core beliefs, respects her principles, and navigates life with integrity, desire deepens. Values alignment fosters trust, and trust creates a safe emotional environment where desire can flourish. It's also worth noting the importance of communication style. Older men who have developed thoughtful communication skills tend to avoid unnecessary conflict, express themselves clearly, and navigate differences with empathy. Women are attuned to these subtleties, how words are delivered, how tone conveys meaning, how attentiveness signals care. These micro-behaviors often matter more than grand gestures in cultivating lasting desire. Now, let's explore the interplay between independence and connection. A woman often desires an older man who maintains his independence, someone with his own passions, routines, and social circle, while remaining emotionally available. This balance communicates confidence and security. It signals that he is not dependent on her for validation, yet chooses connection voluntarily, which is profoundly attractive. Physical presence, too, is nuanced in this dynamic. Desire is not always about outward appearance, it's about energy. The way an older man moves through a room, his attentiveness, his subtle expressions, all contribute to a sense of magnetism. This energy communicates reliability, composure, and self-assuredness, which enhances attraction naturally. An important psychological insight comes from the concept of attachment. Women who have experienced inconsistent or anxious attachment patterns may be drawn to older men because they offer a corrective emotional experience. Through steady presence and understanding, older men can provide a relational environment that nurtures secure attachment, allowing desire to deepen without fear or anxiety. Playfulness remains a powerful tool as well. An older man who combines emotional stability with lightheartedness creates a unique dynamic. Humor, gentle teasing, and shared playful moments build joy, relieve tension, and foster intimacy. Women are often drawn to men who can balance seriousness with levity, creating a rich emotional landscape for desire to grow. Another critical factor is respect for autonomy. Women desire older men who honor their individuality, decisions, and boundaries. This respect communicates trust and equality, forming the foundation for deep emotional and physical connection. When autonomy is respected, desire is not threatened, it flourishes. Now, consider the role of life narrative. Older men often have a coherent sense of their own life story. They understand their past, learn from their mistakes, and carry lessons forward. Sharing elements of this narrative invites women into a deeper understanding of him, fostering emotional intimacy. Women are naturally drawn to individuals who have integrated their experiences into wisdom and perspective. Finally, I want to emphasize self-reflection. Desire is most meaningful when it is conscious. Women and men alike benefit from examining why they are drawn to each other, what emotional needs are being met, and how their interactions shape growth. Awareness transforms attraction from a fleeting impulse into a lasting, meaningful connection. So, to summarize, the attraction between a woman and an older man is multidimensional. It is rooted in emotional safety, authenticity, maturity, curiosity, intellectual stimulation, shared values, playfulness, and mutual respect. Each element weaves together to create a profound sense of desire that is both sustainable and deeply fulfilling. And as you reflect on this, consider engaging in the comments. Share your experiences, insights, or questions. By exploring these dynamics together, we deepen our understanding of human connection and learn to cultivate relationships that honor both heart and mind. If this discussion resonates, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so more people can discover these insights. Understanding desire is not just about attraction. It's about building connections that are conscious, meaningful, and deeply satisfying.